Hey, welcome to week 12. I have graded everybody's feature story, so if you haven't already, go back and take a look at the feedback that I gave you. And as always, if you're not sure what I meant by something, please message me. I'd be happy to give you more of an explanation, expand on something, or if you're really lost or you just really are struggling with something, we could always work out a time for me to speak with you over the phone, and I could try to give you some more direction verbally. Let's move on to what you're going to be doing this week. So you can see here, you're going to be watching photojournalism video and observing Time Magazine's best photos of 2017. So we're not, again, just like last week, we're not going to be focusing on the book this week because the book doesn't really have a chapter dedicated to photojournalism, and I do think it's something that's important. I think it's something that has its place in journalism, as far as the actual craft, and also just understanding journalism as an industry, as a field of study. I think that you have to have at least some kind of basic understanding of how vital photojournalism is. So we're not using the book again this week. We'll go back to the book starting next week, but we're going to be using this video really as kind of the basis. That's, instead of reading, the video is going to be where you're going to get the source of your information from this week. And then, of course, this link here to Time's Best 2017 pictures. After you've seen this video, after you've gotten a good starting to think about photojournalism, kind of have a good basis of it, I think it's good to review some current photos now that are being taken, just last year, and to put everything, all those lessons that we're learning in context, and maybe try to apply it and see it being in action. A lot of these photos that you might have even recognized, or at least the news stories, so now you can start to think about it a little bit more. All right, so you're going to watch this video. It's about 20 minutes long. It's really two videos. It's one video, but it's split up into two different YouTube clips. So I've got the two in there, but it's for that same mini documentary. And then after you watch the videos and review the best photos of 2017, you're going to answer the questions in the exercise, which I'll pull up in a minute. But here's the key to that, and this is why you need to watch the video first, and then also look at that Times link to start to think about some of those lessons that you learned in the video, is because I want your answers to reflect the concepts from the video. And what I mean by that is you're going to see some of these questions, not that there's one right way to answer it, and I don't think there's one right way to answer it, but I don't want you just to go off of your presumptions. I don't want you just to go off of what you already knew before. And try to just skip the video and then just try to answer it from the knowledge that you're already coming in with. I want you to try to apply what the video taught you to your answers. So in other words, for the answers, well, you know what? I'm going to pull it up just so this makes sense. So I'm going to go to our homework, the photojournalism exercise. So you see, why is a picture sometimes needed instead of or to complement the written word? I know you'll be able to answer that probably on your own, but what I want you to do is listen to some of the things that were said in the video and incorporate that in your answer. So, say, like in the video, they said X, Y, and Z, and I agree with that, or I disagree with that maybe, but I want you to expand on that. What makes photojournalists unique compared to print reporters? In the video, they give some very specific answers to that. That's the kind of answer I want you to put in here. And you can also expand and put some new things that you think, but I want you to at least have what was in the video in there too. And it doesn't have to be word for word. You're paraphrasing it or you're using it again to expand on your answer, but it should touch on it in some way. What the video says, how they describe what makes these photojournalists unique. If what they say doesn't show up in this answer at all, you're not going to get the full credit, because I want to make sure that you're taking the lessons from that video and thinking about it and then applying it. What does a photojournalist do in a situation to get the right picture? Again, a few of those photojournalists in this video will talk about what they do. So talk about that, and then again, you could always expand and say some maybe other things that you've thought of, but at least you have that foundation of what the video said. What kind of effect can powerful journalism have? I know a broken record here, but what does the video say? What kind of changes has happened or could happen? And then, of course, you may feel free to expand. The only one is this last one. This one is not going to be in the video, but think of a recent photo you've seen in the news that left an impact on you. Describe the picture and explain why it left an impression on you. So, just sit there, clear your mind for a minute, and just think of some photos that have been popped in your head that you've seen online. It could be digital, it could be a newspaper if you look at print newspaper, a magazine, right? But just think of some powerful news picture that comes to your mind, and then just describe it. Even if you can't find it, describe what that picture was. Describe who was in it or what it was, what you saw, and then explain why it left such an impression on you. So, did it make you feel hopeful? Did it make you feel scared? Did it make you want to do something? Did it give you a better understanding of the situation that you didn't have before? That's the kind of what I'm saying. How did it leave an impression on you? You know, and it must have, because you thought of it, right? You had to think of it, so it must still be, you know, somewhere in the back of that mind. So why? Why do you think that it's really left that impression with you? So these are the questions: 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So you can see worth 25 points. Each one is worth 5. If you're answering what's in the video and you're giving me, you know, in other words, I don't have a word count in here, so I'm not giving you a certain word count, but answer it enough that where you feel that it's a complete answer. You know, one sentence answers are probably not going to get you the full credit for each one of these. And if you're not answering what's in the actual video, you're not going to be getting full credit. But, you know, with that, I'm giving you some leeway. Some of these might take a lot more paragraphs to answer than others. Some of them might only be 3, 4 sentences. Others might need 10. So it's up to you on how you think you need to answer them. Okay. So that is the core of what you're going to be doing up here, right? So that's our photojournalism lecture. You also, as you know, have to finish your op-ed this week, so make sure you get that submitted on time. Check for AP style. So many of you still struggled on the last one with AP style. I know we've been doing a lot of exercises, and you do well on the exercises, and then it seems like in the story, it's like an afterthought for your written assignments. You have to take that same level of diligence that you do for your assignments and do it on your story, which is way more because you're doing it with 500 words. So as a practice exercise, I give you only a few sentences. You got to do it now on each single line. It's going to take you some time. Editing takes a lot of time. But the editing, this is what I've noticed, just not with your class, with every class, right? Those who spend a lot of time editing will always bring up their grade, it seems like a full letter. So what was a C, those that spend a lot of time on editing can bring it to a B. For those of you in the B range, your written story, a lot of you got Bs, and your stories could have probably been As, right? You had what it took to be an A in there, but what dropped it is the AP style. Too many AP mistakes, and it's an A. Remember, again, A is like almost perfect, right? That's what an A is. It's almost perfect. So if you have a lot of AP mistakes, it's not a perfect story anymore. It's very good, or it's good. Brings it to the B range. And that's where a lot of you fell on your feature stories. It was really well done, good reporting, good interviews, good structure, all that. Could have been an A. Too many AP mistakes brought it to a B. Or just careless errors, just not proper editing, just grammar mistakes, or just poor editing brings it to a B because it's just good now. So that's what separates some of you right now. So think about that with your op-ed. I guarantee a lot of these op-eds are going to be A material because these are issues that you care about, you're passionate about, right? So I know, and you probably spent a lot of time researching it and structuring it, your argument. So it's probably close to an A, but if you have a lot of mistakes, it's going to drop it to a B. So just a little advice to you, spend even more time than you have been on editing if you didn't get that A that you were expecting. And then these are I'll skip over here because we're about to start your final assignment, which I'm going to cover in a minute. But of course, like always, read news every day. And this week, what I'd like you to do is also focus on the pictures that they took. So when you're reading your news stories, take a look at the picture that they use and then try to think about some of the lessons you learned in the video and see if you can be applied. Not every picture is going to be, the greatest picture ever that's going to end up in Time Magazine's best photos, right? But still, you'll see, hopefully every photo that these news stories are taking, they're doing it to try to get some kind of impact, and they are applying some of the lessons, that we heard in this video. All right, and believe it or not, we're already into our final assignment. So this is your last written assignment, and you guys are actually close. I know I keep sidetracking here, but you just did. This is our last exercise. So the exercise that you're doing today with photojournalism, that's your last exercise that you have. Then you have one more quiz, which will be, it's a 2-weeker. So you have one more quiz, and then besides your op-ed, which you're turning in this week, you have your final assignment, and that's it. So you pretty much have all the assignments almost complete, and this is your last big one as far as writing assignments, and it's your final story. So you can get to it through the link this week for the homework link, the homework folder, or you can go to assignments here, and I'm going to go to writing assignments, and you see it's this last one. So let's take a look here. First thing you should notice, it's worth 150 points. It's 15% of your grade. Those other writing assignments have been 100 points, 10% of your grade, so this is worth a little bit more. It's about an assignment and a half. It's going to be due Sunday, December 9th by the end of the day. So, before the 10th, no late work. And you guys have actually been good. This class has been great about it. I haven't received any late work, actually. So you guys are following that. But, cannot be a minute late. Has to be before. So I would try to not try to push it to the, near this time, because there's no excuses. Just get it done early. All right. You're going to do either a hard news story or a profile story, right? So you're not doing both of these. You're choosing one. You're either going to do a hard news story or you're doing a profile story. So I will start with a hard news story. If you choose a hard news story, which was the first one that we did in this class, again, if you remember, it has to be that you're covering a live event that you attend in person. And you guys did a great job of that before, right? But it's a one-shot deal. You go to some event or you go to something happening, and that's really your only chance to cover it. So that is what the hard news story is, right? It's that you're there on the spot covering it. So let's just go over some of these, and this is just extending what you guys have already done for your first one, so it's not completely new. You're going to be your story must not use reporting from other stories or direct language from other stories. So in other words, you go to some event, you cover it, you come back home, the Hartford Courant covered it too, and you go and you take some of what the Hartford Courant reported, or you take a quote that they got from somebody. That automatically is a 0. It's plagiarism. So you can't take it from other stories. It's all your original reporting. Not to say if the Hartford Courant covers it too, that you can't do that. You can't cover the same story. That's fine. But your reporting and their reporting is going to be different. So keep that in mind. You have to have, this is one difference from the first time we did this, you have to have at least 2 human sources and 4 direct quotes that you obtained, which means you got to talk to at least 2 different people. You got to get quotes from 2 different people, and you need at least 4 direct quotes. So you need to get at least 4 quotes in your story, 2 different people. That's the least. I mean, you could get more, and you could have more than 4 quotes. But this is the bare minimum of what you need. And again, the quotes must be recorded by you and original to your reporting. So you can't get quotes from a website. You can't get quotes from a news story. It was you actually there getting the notes. It's a little bit longer than the first time. It's between 650 and 750 words. You have to, this shouldn't be new, short paragraphs, 1 to 3 sentences, 5 at the most. And again, a lot of you are still struggling with this. Your lead is 1 sentence. Don't know how else to say it to you guys. Get your lead to 1 sentence. If your lead is more than 1 sentence, you right off the bat are losing points. The first thing that I read, besides the headline, comes down to the lead, more than 1 sentence. You've already started your story off, not an A, because again, A is perfect, so you're probably in the A- range already, just because your headline and your lead. So, focus on that. Be written in the third person and in the past tense, right? It's already happened. This event has already happened. So everything is third person because it's not you talking about, remember, you're not the main character. So you're narrating this. It's the third person and past tense. It's already occurred. And then what I'm grading on is, you guys know what I'm grading on. Is it informative and well-researched? Its organization, the focus, the lead, is it clear? Is the writing clear and concise and informative? Quality of your quotes, so not just that you put quotes in there, but did you get good quality quotes? And we've already had a whole session on quotes, so are you using good quotes in there? Its newsworthiness, AP style, you guys know all about that, don't get tripped up there. How well the lessons from the chapters are being applied, and is it free of spelling and grammar mistakes? So that's your hard news story. If you choose to do a profile story, it cannot be on a family member or friend, and I know on this one I'm not always going to know if it's your friend, but I hope you guys have some academic integrity, or just integrity yourselves, and you're not cheating the system. But it can be an acquaintance, so it can be somebody that you know, that you might see every once in a while, but it's not somebody that you know really well. That's the whole point of it. And of course, no family members. Every once in a while, I'll get hey, I have an aunt that I never talked to, but she's interesting because X, Y, and Z. If you think that's the case, message me in advance. I'll give you the approval or not. So I usually let the exception for that if it's someone that you don't really know that well, but they have a good story. But for the most part, you're going to know family members. You're going to know your friends. So find an interesting person, and it should be. I'm sorry. So I lost my train of thought. So your feature story is a profile on somebody. So you're profiling a person, right? It can't be a family member or friend. It should be someone that you know or you don't know. It's just an acquaintance. So we already talked about that. Okay. Your story must not use reporting from other stories or direct language from other stories. just like before. I'm not going to go over that, but it's got to be all original. And the only other thing I will add to this is I've had students have this issue before. If somebody has like a website, they take information right off the website. I'm not saying you can't use the website as good background information, but you shouldn't be copying and pasting it as their background. And you definitely, leading on to this next one, shouldn't be taking quotes from the website. That doesn't count. That's not original reporting. You have to actually go out and get the quotes by talking to them. So you have to have at least 2 human sources, just like the hard news story. So think about that. You're going to be interviewing the person, so that's one human source. You're probably going to have to find somebody else that knows them. So let's say it's a band, someone in a band, maybe a band member, maybe a fan that goes to all their events. Let's say it's your coach, or not your coach, a coach, right? A sports coach. Maybe it's obviously interviewing the coach. The second person could be one of their players, right? Maybe one of the coach's best friends. I don't know. There's a lot of different people you could do. The point is it's 2 separate people. So your main person is probably going to be the source, and then somebody else too that can speak to them. And just like before, just like the hard news story, 4 direct quotes, you have to record it. Between 600 and 750 words, short paragraphs, written in the third person. What am I going to be grading on? Similar to the hard news story, how well defined is the focus? How well is the theme presented throughout the story? If you don't remember what the theme is, go back to the chapter that we go over features and profiles and remember what the theme is. If the background information is presented strategically, is it clear and concise and informative? Quality of the quotes, very similar. Here's a little different from the hard news story. What is the goal method used? If you don't remember that, go back to the book, but is the goal method being used? Turning points were addressed, again, from the book. AP style, don't get tripped up with that. How well the lessons are being from the chapter being applied, same as always, and free of spelling and grammar mistakes, same as always. Here's my last piece to it. Note that these assignments will be graded stricter than before. I'm looking to see if you apply the feedback from previous stories. So, those first few stories that you've had throughout the semester, that's for you to be learning, that's for you to be building. Now it's all got to come to a climax, right? And for this last one, it's got to be, I'm not saying perfect, but I'm saying you got to be improving. You've got to be taking the lesson. So if I kept telling you, you're struggling with AP style, clean up your AP style, and AP style is in there, I'm going to explain to you why that's worse than what's been before. If I keep telling you, leads, keep it to 1 sentence, and you're not, you're giving me too much information in the lead, and on these stories, you're giving me 2-sentence leads, and you're giving me way too much information, it's really going to hurt you. If I'm telling you that, your quotes aren't, your quotes are too general, right, and that it's just information that could have been paraphrased, and you need quotes that are a little bit more exciting or give some spice when we understand who that person is, and you give me some quote that just says, I grew up in Connecticut, and that's the quote that you use, which again is just too broad and I could have just paraphrased, it's really going to hurt you now. And what I mean by it's really going to hurt you is, let's say you got a B before with all those kind of mistakes. This time it's a C. So I'm grading on a much harder curve for the final assignment. What you got away with before, you can't get away with this time. It's going to just, the grading, the bar is set higher. Because I've given you all the feedback, you have the full semester now, this is you applying everything and improving. So with that said, it's not meant to scare you. What it's meant for you to do is go back, take a look at my feedback I've given you on different assignments, go back to your quizzes, take a look at mistakes you made on your quizzes, get the right answer, and make sure that you're applying that, right, to your story. The point is you should be going, this is why it's going to give you so much, I'm giving you so much time to complete this, it's because it's a lot of work. Right, it's a lot of work to create an A story, but again, it's your final piece and it's worth 15% of your grade. So, with that said, again, December 9th, so you have just under a month, but pretty much a month to get this done. Don't wait till the last minute because this is going to take you time. It's going to take you time to go find the event or find the person, do that interview with them, interview others. Then it's going to take you time to write it. Then it's going to take you way more time than probably any of you have been spending on editing because you're going to have to go back here, take a look at feedback I've been giving you, take a look at things that you've been making mistake on quizzes so you improve it. You're going to have to probably rewrite this a few times, write it over and over again. It was a draft. This is something that can't get done in a weekend. It's going to take you the full month to do. Here's the good news. Looking at your syllabus here. Where is your syllabus? Here we go. Taking a look at your syllabus here. Let's take a look at what's left. Let's just open it here. Okay. So we're in our photojournalism week. You already know what's coming out here. Next, these 2 weeks here are chapters, a couple of chapters, but the quiz isn't until here. So you basically have nothing due this week besides you're starting to read, right? So next week you're going to be reading and working on your final assignment, of course. This is where I'm going with all this. This week here you have your one quiz for these last 2 weeks, but that's the only other thing that's due here. And then the following week you have that full week to work on your story. So like I talked about, you probably don't remember this, but early in the semester, I stacked the work early. Early in the semester, you're doing a lot of work because I have to get you the foundation. I have to get you ready. These last weeks right here are pretty much you working on your final story. You're finishing your op-ed this week, and then you're working on your final story, and you got a few chapters to read and a quiz, and that's all that's left as far as other assignments that got to get turned in. With the expectation that you're spending the time every week working on that final story, knowing that that's 15% of your grade, and that it's going to be graded so strictly. And of course, down here, now that we're on our final assignment, this is really what you should be looking at. What an A is, what a B is, what a C is. This is now my full force of grading. What an A is publishable, B is good, C is average, D is below average. Really apply this, to the T now for your final assignment. All right, I think that covers everything for this week. As always, any questions, let me know. And if you want to approve what your story is before you go out, so hey, Professor Scher, I'm thinking about doing this as a hard news story, or I'm thinking about doing this as a person. What do you think? Send me a quick message. I'd be happy just to make sure that you're on track. Any questions, let me hear early. But you guys are really at the home stretch for real now. You're close to the end. So finish strong. And you guys are doing a really, really good job in this class. You should be proud. You're really close to being done. Let's end on a high note.